Hmm. Now we will see logarithmic decrement of the amplitude in the damped vibration. So first of all, we'll consider we just try to have a quick recap about the free vibration. So in the free vibration, x of t equal to, this is the equation, and if you draw the graph, so this is like this. So if you observe here, this is the some amplitude a from here to 0, and this is also a, and this is curve is sine curve is repeating between these two. So this is not dying down, this is not dying, but continuously repeating from one cycle to another cycle. And we have already seen the time period to complete one period, one cycle. So from, for example, from point here to here, the time period equal to 2 pi into omega n. 2 pi is the actually period of the sine theta, and here we have omega n before the theta. Here theta is nothing but t, that is a variable, so we need to divide the 2 pi with the omega n. And now we will see what happens in case of the damper system. So in a damper system, so first case is case 1, that is when critically damped, that means xi equal to 1. How xi became 1, we will see no quickly about this one. So what is the term inside the square root, that is the c by 2m whole square minus k by m, that is omega n square. So in this case, critically damped, it's becoming 0. But we have already derived 2 by cm square equal to nothing but xi omega n whole square minus omega n square equal to 0. Omega n cancel. So here it will become xi square minus 1 equal to 0. Here why it became 0? Because in this case critically damped. That means xi equal to 1. So when xi equal to 1, we have already derived, or we have derived that s1 comma s2 equal to minus omega n. These are the roots, and we will get the exponentially decreasing response curve. So here what I do is I will draw a curve for this one. So when the exponentially dying the curve, let's say this is the curve, this is the exponentially dying, all of a sudden or something, it's going like this. When this is a curve, when xi equal to 1. So this is the one, and we will take a case 2. Case 2 where xi equal to or greater than 1. How it became greater than 1? So instead of 0, what I put is here greater than 0, and here also greater than 0, greater than 0. That means xi becomes here greater than 1. So here that's how xi became greater than 1. And we know the solution, s1 equal to minus omega n plus omega n into square root of 1 minus I square, and the other solution equal to. And if I substitute these two solution in the final equation, then again there also we'll get some equation in terms of exponential. So here also we get exponential, and if you draw some curve here, so that also exactly looks like this. But we'll see how it go like. So that surprisingly that curve go like this. So that curve go like this. So what you observe, this is for xi greater than 1, and this is a xi less than 1. Greater than 1 means it's a, this is a over damped. So overdamped, if you imagine physically and by intuition, you can feel that here damping is more. So when the damping is more, automatically this amplitude, or it should die down quickly than the in previous case, where here it's a critically damped. That means xi is only equal to 1, but here it's greater than 1. That means overdamped. But it's happening in the opposite way. Why it's happening in the opposite way? So if you go back and take a look at the solutions. Here s1 and s2 equal to minus omega n. So here what happening? if you take S2, this is a dying down very quickly, because here we have two negative terms, because e power minus. So if you have minus some term here, it will die down so quickly, because negative means when you t approaches infinity, it will die so quickly. But so if it is dying down so quickly, so which one will become dominant term? This will become dominant term, because here we have a positive also here. But here, when I compare this and this, here we have only minus omega n, and here we have minus omega plus some value. So whenever there is a some value plus value, that means if you, so e power omega n, if you compare e power omega n and e power minus omega n plus some value, so which one will quickly reaches zero value when I when my t is tending to infinity? Of course, obviously this one, because this is a more negative term, but here this is a less negative term, because we are adding some value. So that's why this critically damped vibration is quickly dying down compared to the over damped vibration. Now we will take the third case. So in the third case, xi is less than 1. So when xi is less than 1, this is the solution. Here we have two terms. One is exponential and another one is harmonic. That is a sine function. So first I will draw exponential function. So exponential function is going like this: as t increases, t is increasing here in this manner. This is the t axis and this is the amplitude axis. But and if I draw sine curve, this is the sine curve is starting from here, because at t equals 0, the sine is not 0 since we have a phi here. So it's starting from here, and but if you observe, the amplitude of this sine curve is no go on decreasing, because this boundary is restricted by the this exponential decrement. So this exponential decrement is slowly decreasing the this harmonic function. So that means, so if you don't have, or if there is a no damping force in this one, it is converting into the free vibration. So when we have seen already that free vibration is not decreasing, it's a keep on repeating the cycle. But since we have this exponentially decreasing term, that is a restricting the harmonically varying this sine curve. After a certain period, this decreasing, keep on decreasing. At a certain period, it will become zero. That means its amplitude becomes zero. That is how we are reducing the vibrations here. And and if I consider, for example, this is a point 1, and this is the point 2, or this is the point 1 and this is the point 2. For example, here my amplitude is x1 and here my amplitude is x2. But in the free vibration, x1 equal to x2, but here x1 is no longer x2 because it's a decreasing, so x2 is less than x1. And if I take point 3 here, this is again decreasing, x3 is less than x2 again. So I want to find out how much amount of amplitude it's decreasing for each revolution or for this cycle. Let's say at a time t, my at time t1, here I will call it a t1 and here it's called as a t2. But since it's a sine curve, we know it's having some time period t. What is the time period t? Here is a t equal to 2 pi into omega d. So here omega d, this is the time period here. So what I can write is t2 equal to t1 plus a time period. That means t2 is repeating after its a time period execution of a t amount. And we whenever we say time period, and if I substitute the same t2 in the sine omega d into t1 plus t plus phi. So what I did is, instead of, in place of t, I substituted t2. So omega d into t1 plus t into plus t into omega d, but t equal to 2 pi by omega d, that means 2 pi plus omega d t1 plus 5, that means it will become sine of omega d t1 plus 5. So when I substitute t2 in the sine curve, it's again getting the same as curve when I substitute t1. So in the both cases the sine term is equal, but only this term is different. So what I do is, x1 means amplitude of the curve at time t1 equal to a into e power z t1 into sine. In both cases we have seen that sine is the same, so I will simply write sine. And x2, for x2 this is again a, this is a minus z into omega n here t2, and here also sine. So if I divide these two, the sine and sine will get cancelled. So here x1 by x2 equal to, so simply become e power minus j omega 1 is, n is a common. So t1 minus t2. So what is the t1 minus t2 or t2 minus t1? That is t. Actually here we will get minus, so minus minus will get cancelled. So here x1 by x2 equal to e power j, e power j omega n. Here t, what is the t? T is the time period, that equal to 2 pi by omega d. Omega d. And if I apply log on the both side, and I will call delta equal to ln of x1 by x2. This is what we call as logarithmic decrement, because this is a x1 and x2 is less than x1 and it's a some decrement. It's a decreasing from the previous one, and we are applying log here, so that's why it's a logarithmic decrement. That equal to, if you apply logarithmic here, this is j into omega n into 2 pi. Already we know omega d equal to omega n into square root of 1 minus j square. If I substitute that, so it will become 2 pi j into 1 minus j square, square root of. So this is the final solution. So j. So here we have considered x1 by x2. So instead, if I consider x2 by x3, here also we will get the same value, because this value is not depending on anything else. And if you consider something like x3 by x4, here also we are getting the same value. This value is always constant from the cycle to cycle. So from this one, what I can write here also x1 by x2. But x1 by x2, x1 by x2 equal to e power delta from this equation, and this is also e power delta, x1 by x2 into x2 by x3 into x3 by x4 and so on, that equal to e power delta into e power delta and so on up to e power delta where nth term, then it will become e power n delta. So the last one is x n minus 1 by x n. So this will get cancelled, this and this will get cancelled, or finally we will get x1 by xn equal to e power n delta. So we should remember this formula also. Sometimes what happens, actually we derived this equation by considering the consecutive amplitudes in the curve, but instead of consecutive amplitude, if the initial amplitude and the final amplitude are provided, then by using this formula we can calculate the delta, and from the delta we can calculate the chi. How? This is a 2 pi chi into 1 minus chi square, square root of. And if chi is very less, then we can now neglect this one, this numerator also.